Another week, folks. It's Coach on a Couch with myself, Lucky Letshabo here. Plenty of sport to talk through. Plenty that's happened, plenty that's going to happen. And discussions around this week is going to be focused with our special guest on rugby in particular. The Craven Week that's coming up, the selection criteria thereof, and just a transition from schoolboy rugby into senior rugby with a little bit of a touch this week here. I'm not alone as usual. I fly with my wingman, my co-captain, Dino Biani. Dino.
Lucky,
what are you saying?
Luckster. Lovely to be back here. I think episode 1 went very well, was well received. A few of my friends even got back to me, which was awesome. So maybe some people do know me.
Yeah.
But I'm
looking without seeing you.
Without seeing me. But I look forward to today.
Certainly so, man. And looking at the sports calendar, geez, there's a lot on the go at the moment.
Lucky, and a lot that happened this weekend.
Plenty of stuff that happened over the weekend. School's still playing rugby. We had plenty of KZN derbies once again. The Bulls and Stormers were in action as well.
Bulls, Stormers losing to Glasgow. We're going to have to talk about that. You know I'm touched about that.
All right.
The Bulls beating Benetton,
yes.
30-23.
Home game. So they secure a home game for next week. They play against Leinster.
Playing Leicester, home fixture, and that will hopefully get us into the final.
Yeah, I saw Jake White there. His message there for the fans was, please, can you fill up Loftus there? So in watching last week's game against Benetton, you know when you hear the music in the stadium and you think to yourself, am I hearing correctly? They were playing Guijo at Loftus. I was like, geez. When we know we've had a turn of elections, the music selection has changed at Loftus. What else did we have on the go this weekend, Dons?
Lucky we had some amazing cricket. SA beating Netherlands in a thriller.
Is it a thriller, though? I see Miller Time was back at it again.
Thank goodness for Miller.
Hey.
I mean, a lot of us are talking about maybe time is up, but how can you drop a guy that always pulls out the win for us?
My guys at the rescue then. Then Bangladesh as well. Played earlier today, so no results there as yet, but hopefully we can get a W. We need a W.
We had another massive fixture, which was India-Pakistan, which was a nail-biter, but included 7 drop catches.
How was that? And it's always wonderful. The Indian fans and the Asian fans are the best at traveling all over the world. I mean, you saw how packed that stadium was. Every time Sachin Tendulkar was on screen, the crowd just went mad there. But in looking at the World Cup across there, obviously it's on the islands as well as part of the USA. Some complaints, let's call it that, coming out there in terms of that pitch that's been flown in. It's not the best pitch in terms of the batters, but you had an interesting take on it.
Lucky, I thoroughly enjoy it. What it's done is allow bowlers to play more of a part. I mean, you're not getting batsmen walking in there and scoring 200. We now 111 is competitive.
Yeah, and you have to chase that down, or you have to bowl the other guys out. So you look at Hussein, for example, against the for West Indies. I beg your pardon. That played against Uganda. He got a 5-for the other day. Nice to see another African country participating this year's World Cup.
Yes, and I mean T20, it just calls for action. I mean Australia beating the previous champions England.
That's always a bit of a grudge match than any sense of the word. So the cricket World Cup is well and truly on. So South Africa having to step it up, but we're behind the boykies, aren't we?
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, hopefully we can pull it through this time. Another thing. SA men's hockey.
Yes.
Beating
Poland.
Pakistan.
Yes, they went Poland.
4-3.
The Nations Cup.
Nations Cup, and gaining a bronze medal in that tournament, which is great because the World Cup, not the World Cup, the Olympics are on their way.
Fantastic preparation for the hockey men's side, and nice to see them garnering support as well in terms of the sponsorship and financial aid. So long may their preparations for the Olympic Games continue, but a wonderful result out in Poland over the week as well.
And I've got something that I know you are very excited about.
Yeah.
Alcaraz winning his first Roland Garros.
How was that? 4 hours in. I was a bit nervous in between the game here because Zverev had the upper hand on him and then Alcaraz started sulking a little bit. Things weren't going his way. But yeah, he pulled it up at the end there.
And then my passion runs deep. Bafana Bafana. After drawing to Nigeria this past weekend, we now have Zimbabwe to look forward to.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday. And if we win that, we are officially in the World Cup.
Expected a W from the boys, to be honest. I think we're all over Nigeria there. It was a time to capitalize. But fingers crossed against Zimbabwe. Our group is all over the place. Zimbabwe is beating people. Nigeria is beating people. We are somewhere in the mix there. So hopefully we can just restore some parity there, which will see Hugo Brosh and the boys through.
Well, Lucky, we love to push positivity. So hopefully the boys can qualify and maybe then we can lift the World Cup trophy one day.
It's a long road, Zeno. Let's just book our flights first. Let's book our flights first to get us there. I was having a laugh today about booking flights as a political party. We've got our first sitting of parliament coming up soon, and one political party has declined their flights there. So they're there, but they're not there. So let's not have that situation with Bafana Bafana.
Talking about political parties, we elect a new president this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully if all goes according to plan. So the sitting is on Friday the 14th, where
we can just hope Rassie Rasmus is available for that.
Please, man. Please. Surely the best bet there that we've got. Yeah, but some wonderful sport. And then it ended off with the Comrades Marathon. Gerda obviously, top of the mix there.
Lucky, I know that you are part of a running group, but how are those times? The winner for the men's missed the new record by 11 seconds.
So just to clarify, I'm part of a running group, but I'm the guy that drives behind them with the Powerades to pick up the person that's got a sniper.
You've got the oranges.
Yeah. I'm the halftime oranges guy, and hey, run faster. So I'm that guy. But congratulations to all the comrades runners. Gerda again breaking a multitude of records as she prepares for the Olympic Games. Then we had some of our mates also that ran over the weekend. Big up to Brendan White, Marcus Sham, Dane Jacobs was in the mix as well. Dylan Cole, nice to see him out of a swimming pool. Murray Walsford, Jessica Oorstays, and a whole bunch of others as well. It really is an ultimate human race. So for anyone to put up their hand and go down there, hey, kudos to you. Plenty of sport. So my highlight of the weekend. Let's have a look here. You'll be very surprised by this.
Well, that doesn't look like a fly half.
Fabio Giuseppe van Wyk there, hailing out of KZN. Looking at the boot that he's got on him, he could show one or two of the senior men how to do it.
Lucky, he's a front rower, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a front rower. But the way he's kicking and the way he's slotting them over, listen.
How do we feel about having 120 kilos in the number 10 jersey?
Definitely put him on first position on defense. On attack, don't know so much. Donks, let's please welcome our guest for this evening. Segerizer. Didn't know which way to go there. I thought we had put the path clearly out for you. Not so much.
Lads, thanks for being here. Coach on the couch. It's finally lifted off.
It finally has lifted off. So before we get into things, please look into that camera there. Give us your name, your surname, your nickname, your claim to fame, and your reason to get up on a Monday.
How's it, guys? Mziwakhe Nkosi here. Curry Cup head coach and head of development at the Lions Rugby Company. And my nickname is Mzege. So those who are looking for me, Mzege_great on Twitter. Then in terms of why I get up in the morning, Lux, I get up just to blow a whistle and stand in the cold in this winter. But
And there's your weekly inspiration, folks. Just blow a whistle and get up on winter day. But Z, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Lots to talk about your journey into the Lions setup. When I talk about the trip down under also, and then preparations into the whole Craven Week setup. So let's kick things off. The Lions, have you found a home? You've been there a minute.
yeah, lucky. I'm I'm close to 8 years being at the Lions. You wouldn't say it's just the other day, I think 2017, if my math is correct. So yeah, just the other day I was there, and it's been 8 years, and it's been a fruitful 8 years. Been really good. I've loved it, and if I could, probably shouldn't say this, and Rudolph Story hears this, but I probably could stay there for a long time. But let me not say that.
Don't let him say that. Yeah,
might just influence my next contract negotiation.
Fair enough. No, glad you found a home there. You started off in terms of the junior setup. You ended up heading up the junior development, the Curry Cup head coach as well. So, marvelous track record, and the growth for you in terms of Lions has been absolutely fantastic. But I think for me personally, where we see a lot of you is giving back into the school setup, which obviously feeds into the Lions setup.
Yeah, Lux, I think I've been fortunate that, I grew up in Joburg, understand Joburg rugby, been passionate about the Lions, firstly as a supporter, then as a junior player, and now thankfully as a coach. So, there's a lot of red blood in my system, and hopefully it's red blood. Speaking physiologically.
Never know what COVID did, huh?
So yeah, and I've been fortunate to have been involved in the Lions junior structures in terms of schools, Grand Como, Craven Week, and managed to achieve a bit of success there. And then I had the opportunity to get into the professional arm, which is the Lions Rugby Company. And that, obviously it's had its challenges, but also, one has seen some growth and managed to go for a couple of trophies and hence I'm sitting here. So long may that continue too.
You talk about your journey and your transition. So where I look at two massive, massive boxes, and it's almost untoward for me to call it a box, but you've ticked two massive boxes in joining the Lions setup. One, your growth as, in layman's terms, a junior coach, in terms of the colleagues, some of the colleagues that you still have today when you started off. That must have been, a massive, massive step in a transition. And then also, as a black coach coming into that, into any union and into any setup, in those two things, and I'm sure they continue to be challenges that you look forward to. What are some of the things that you undertake in making sure that, one, I've ticked the boxes, but also two, I do it so well that people don't see those boxes?
I think that to start off with, I think the biggest thing for young coaches, for coaches of color or black coaches, for lack of a better expression, is that one's got to be careful of just ticking boxes. Whilst it's still a job, whilst I've earned a salary, whilst I've got to feed my family on the work that I do, I like to think of coaching as part of a vocation. So part of what we've got to do is change lives, is make a difference. Obviously, we need to win. So for me, it's a hell of a healthy and exciting that I see a guy like Jordan Hendrickse, who played SA schools, was at Marty's playing in the young guns. We gave him a contract here. 4 years later, he's a junior Bok. He's in the Springbok squad. He's got 50 URC caps. That for me is heartwarming. Kern Horn, he's from Da'a. Even they went to Paul Boys, getting his call-up caps. And for me, having worked with Krapi, in terms of the varsity cup in my earlier years. So that for me, Luxter, that's part of the vocation. That notwithstanding, it's still a job that we've got to do. So, and there are challenges, obviously. it's difficult sometimes when I was in my younger years, when I was a young coach. Not that I'm old now, and obviously ours is a game that we've got to fight hard for diversity, and I think there are many steps being taken into addressing that. Um, yeah, just the other day we saw the report come out of SA Rugby. So, but in our game, there's still things that we've got to fix. In terms of representation, representation matters, particularly in a country such as ours.
And you speak about those junior coaching structures as well. I've been fortunate enough to make my way to the park a couple of times and to see the plethora of background staff, whether it be coaches, whether it be people in management, whether it be medical staff that are involved, particularly the Lions setup, young, youthful females that are getting involved there. Must be pretty proud of the job that you're doing in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's all about being deliberate. Um, it's one thing we've got to understand is those people, notwithstanding their age or the color of their skin, are highly qualified people. Number one, world class human beings. Number two, and capable at their jobs. And part of diversity is not just the color of someone's skin. We speak about the gender part, and I say this yet again in the type of country that we live in, that faces a whole variety of challenges, but also blessed with diversity, if that makes sense. So yeah, we've been fortunate that we've had really good applicants. We've had the ability to choose from a whole variety of people, gender and ethnicity. So that's allowed us to get a really good mix in our management, and it's something that we enjoy and something that we're proud of.
You look 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, with the surgence of King Edward Rugby, JP High School for Boys Rugby, and I use those two schools deliberately in terms of they had made deliberate decisions in terms of how they wanted to play rugby, who they wanted to play rugby with, and a lot of that was attributed also to the transformation landscape as well. And you look today at one of the biggest derbies in Johannesburg, let alone the country, and you see it littered with the diversity at a top class rugby level. That's obviously filtering into your union there. How important were those grassroots level? You're part of those grassroots level under the mentorship of the likes of Carl Spillhouse back in your day at King Edward. You look back now, and I'm sure you're really proud of the steps that you had put in there. And like you said, the intention. You've got to be deliberate about what we do.
Yeah, I think Joburg Rugby, and I say Joburg Rugby, I'm talking about English boys' schools at the time. Luxter, at least in my time at King Edward, we went through a Damascus moment in terms of taking quite a heavy defeat. And I say Damascus moment because it forces you to choose a route in terms of going left or right.
Yeah.
And that really forced us to put plans and processes in place and creating a program that is sustainable over the years. And we're talking about 2013, 2014. So proud of what the program's become then. And naturally, as it happens, is if JP Boys and King Edward the Seventh School are bitter rivals, but they're also good for them to exist. It's important that they exist gotta coexist in the ecosystem, if that makes sense. And the success of one, I think, has been the success of the other. And similarly, the success of JP Boys, in my opinion, has been the success of King Edward. So to use those two as such an example. But there are also schools who are representative of who South Africa is. From a financial aspect, demographic aspect, talent aspect, educational aspect, in terms of what they offer. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Scuba Rugby at King Edward. And to see the program still thriving on the foundations of what we put in there is something I'm really proud of.
No, really, really good to hear. So we move from Lions into your national positions. You're part of the under-19 setup, and then most recently down under with the under-20s. First time out in terms of rugby championship for the under-20s. Apart from the wonderful weather down there, how was that for you?
Yeah, that's yet again, to represent your country at anything is a special thing. I mean, I'm looking at the speedo with the South African colors there. So to represent your country versus other nations is incredibly special. I think there are a few things that'll move a person more than representing your country. So having spent 4 or 5 years in the SS schools system was really good. Just provided me with a taste of what Test match rugby looked like. And then more recently, I was incredibly fortunate to have joined the Junior Springboks in their preparations for the Junior World Championships. Obviously, we had the tour down under in terms of the rugby championship, and that was another really enriching experience. I use the word enriching because, again, exposed to Test rugby, the best that New Zealand and Australia would offer, and we know that they're incredibly bitter rivals. And the weather's challenging. You feel,
I wouldn't call it challenges. I'd say you needed to pack Wellingtons instead of rugby boots. But anyway,
you feel like you definitely feel the isolation in another country. But luckily we're in Australia, so obviously we had quite a few supporters.
Quite a few South Africans are there.
When it comes to selection of players from your union, from your high school to your union to provincial to everybody's end goal is the Bokke, do you have to withhold some of your strategies and plans, or are you trying to give that knowledge out to all juniors? Because like you as a coach now in the development phases of rugby with the juniors, your goal is to build them to get to Bokke, but can you give all your secrets away?
Look, I think in many sports, I think we speak about behaviors and habits as opposed to speaking about secrets. I think there are very little secrets in rugby, or in many pro sports. The advent of analysis programs, the advent of video cameras. I mean, within 24 hours, everyone's got your footage. So there's very little to hide. In terms of working towards the bigger picture, obviously each and every coach, each and every franchise or union have got their own plans and styles and strategies. But at the end of the day, it's about making sure that those oaks are the best they can be. And if they're the best, then you'll have a whole lot of your crop going to represent the country, if that makes sense. So, and it's twofold to answer your question. It's, yes, we've got to develop in terms of fundamental skills and how the player grows. But secondly, we obviously got to win, if that makes sense. Yes. So finding the balance then, sometimes there is a trick. But finding the balance there is important. Doesn't help you win without the development, but it doesn't help you develop to what objective if you don't win.
Okay, so we're going to pick your mind for a little bit here. You've now been selected for Bokke under 20. What do you do from there? What is the best steps? What is a game plan to make sure that you have longevity in your career or actually make it to Springboks?
Look, the Junior Springboks is all but a stepping stone. The Junior Springboks now, or the Junior Springboks aren't necessarily an indication that you will be a junior or you will be a Springbok to start off with. But what it does do is it gets you into the pipeline, and it's another step in another exposure to Test match level. Okay, so that's the first thing. In South Africa, the former director of rugby, who's now the head coach again, back in his years when he was the high performance manager at SA Rugby, he created an incredible alignment in terms of the junior box and the SA schools, Junior Springboks, as well as the Springboks themselves. If we look now, take the Springboks squad announcement: Jordan Hendricks, Kieran Horn, Kelimpilo Kumede, Pepsi Buthelezi, Salman Murat, Sia Masuku wasn't a junior bok, but I'm talking about guys who were junior
that were there before, yeah,
who are making it. Ethan Hooker from the Sharks has been a revelation.
And that also wasn't overnight, like you said.
100%.
Process.
But what it does do is it gets you into the pipeline so that then you can get monitored. And that's what it does. And if you show promise at junior Springbok level, then it allows people to be monitored or players to be monitored. Whether you can, then you've got to have a plan yourself. The fortunate thing about being in a junior box is, Dwayne was also assisting there, Stick was assisting there. So there's an incredible amount of alignment. And all that it does is it creates a system where we can then, once the players head back to their unions, they can then be tracked. And say, okay, Ethan Hooker was a junior bok last year. Literally, this time last year, he was preparing for the Junior World Champs. Fast forward 12 months, URC debut, EPCR debut. He's an EPCR winner. Before you know it, he's called up to the squad. So, and that's the role that the junior Springboks play. is it's a platform and it provides you to springboard onto bigger and better things.
Talking about juniors getting involved in the game, I saw a video of a 1-year-old left-footed kicker. Where do you find a guy like that?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I think the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna find a wife. And then the second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna pray really hard that you can, get a son somewhere. We've been blessed to have a son who's left-footed kicker, so that's his point of difference. I in my younger years, I read Malcolm Gladwell's book, 10,000 Hours. So I guess that's what we started.
This is you.
It's just lovely to see the passion remains within the family.
Jeez. Imagine you're just trying to draw circles on a page. Here you are having to do 10,000 hours that you have no idea about. We'll stick on the selection criteria. Now tell me, because this adds or provides rather such a cauldron of conversation. I see it a lot in my games, and I'm often together with you at a majority of these major tournaments and festivals and the like. A talented rugby player from a certain school piques interest in yourselves or your union, and often these players deer in the headlights. Do I need an agent? Do I not need an agent? Do I need a guardian? Do I not need a guardian? If I join a certain union, do I have to join the associate universities? Do I have to study? So if you can just talk us through, one, your criteria that you're looking for, and obviously it's different at different times. Do you have a recruitment season, or is it just, hey, this one's flavor of the week this week, let's get into it? Just talk us through that, because I think for a lot of players, it's a massive point of confusion, particularly depending on backgrounds that I'm from, particularly depending on, am I from this province, am I not from this province? It's a massive step.
Yeah, I think recruitment...
Sorry, it's a loaded question.
There's no
I'll
formula.
fill you up there. Yeah.
There's no formula to recruitment. And I say there's no formula because we no one can see into the future in terms of what a player will be as you see him now. I mean, I had hopes that, let's use Kieran Horn as an example. I had hopes that he would cut it at some point. But the whole variety of things have got to happen between us recruiting him and him becoming a member of a Springbok squad. So that's the first thing. So there's no formula. If there was a formula, then we'd all punch it in and all recruit the best. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in South Africa, we're blessed with an amazing amount of talent. And the operative word there is amount. You know what I'm trying to say? So there's an incredible amount of talent. There's 1 million schools who are all rugby mad. So and all passionate about their programs and producing really talented players. The challenge for franchises and unions, one is to discern which are the really talented players, who the cream of the crop and who can make it. Then we fall into, what does the contracting model look like?
Right.
If that makes sense. And there's often
not copy paste Wonkumuntu.
No, and there's often a rush to get, as you say, the advent of social media in these days. I think when we were at school, Flip, if you had to make sure that you had one game, TV game, Classic Clash.
Yeah, that was it.
You had to bring it.
Otherwise, tickets.
Now there's all sorts of websites that have got rankings, all sorts of websites that have got footage, and we spoke earlier about analysis programs where footage is available. There's social media, Twitter, Instagram, the works. So players are so much in the limelight. It's very difficult to miss them. One, okay, or miss those who are prominent. Then we get to, what is a particular franchise looking for? So each and every franchise will have a certain model and where they play, and they'll recruit as such. The recruitment will speak to a model. Okay. Then there's the necessary evil. People called agents, and I call them necessary evil because they understand the industry, and they want to market players. 2, they understand the market value for a player.
Right.
3, because we're now getting into contractual stuff. What does it mean to undertake a contract? What does it mean to the benefits and the lack thereof, and the duration of the contract, and etc. So they're there to sort of assist in those processes. I say they're necessary evil because they are necessary, but evil in that and I think I've got that's for a lack of a better expression, is that we start using players, as commodities. Part-time move to him, part-time move to that.
Carrot and stick model.
Precisely. And because rugby is such a niche environment, whilst it's hugely popular, it's a niche environment, meaning few people actually understand the inner workings of, hence we're having this discussion,
Yeah.
of getting a contract. Do I need to study? What is my market value? How long is the contract for? Insurance, medical aid, pension. So a guy goes from being an 18-year-old to literally being a tax-paying citizen of South Africa.
Overnight.
And then, we're going to speak about if you're really talented, our kids, how equipped our kids with handling big money. How much financial advice are they receiving from said agents? So it's, we could speak into the night about this topic. But to cut a long story short, obviously there are a whole variety of tournaments, Volleyball, Northside, Derby Days,
Easter festivals.
Those serve as a window, an opportunity for franchises to look for players coming in. Then, every now and again there's bidding in terms of we'd like that player and we like him more, and that raises the market value of a certain player. But yeah, it's a challenging space.
So as a junior, you have the skills, or so you think you have the skills. What is the way forward? How do you stand out? Where would you go to stand out or be seen? Or is it just a matter of playing great rugby till you get found?
Look, I think the saying the cream always rises to the top is true. And I say this because if you're really playing really good rugby, one, you'll be seen because there's scouts and
everywhere.
People recruiting everywhere. That's the first thing. It helps if your team wins. I'll tell you that for free. That goes a long way. And then as a player, you've got to make decisions. And I say that because I understand the fickleness of rugby. And I use fickle because one day you're a rock star, one day you get injured. And then what? You know what I'm trying to say? So I would, we encourage, and I would, if I was an up-and-coming rugby player who has been scouted and given the opportunity, to be procured from a contractual point of view, I would still look to go the studying route too. There's nothing wrong with, one can be an elite student athlete, and there's a ton of them. Andre Yukufento has just been invited to the Bok camp. He's an accounting student. BJ Dixon plays for the Stormers. He's an engineering graduate. Henko van Wyk is a PhD student, graduate at Wits. So it's really possible and it can be done. And I mean, Patrick Lambie, he had 50 swimmer caps before the age of 30. He was an agricultural graduate. So this thing can be done. And let's use Patrick Lambie as an example. The guy got
before 30.
concussed before 30. He
had to have plan B.
And his plan B was that, he's in agriculture. And he's just like every other normal human being who's working, is qualified. And there's a guy who played 100 games for the Sharks and 50 test matches for the Springboks. So rugby is fickle. And the other thing is you can't play rugby until the end of your life.
Yeah.
Between 35 and 40, that's the span. And those folks are lucky to have played that long. You've still got another 40, 50, 60 years. If let's say
to see life out.
Let's say the age is 80, at which one passes away. So from 35 till 80 is many years to go. So you still have to have the ability to provide a living for yourself after rugby.
So from a Lions point of view, I get contracted to the Lions. Do we strongly encourage studies? Is that left to the individual? Because I know you work closely with, obviously, UJ and Wits, for example. So what is that relationship like?
Yeah, we obviously in a tripartite agreement with the two universities, and like you say, we're in association. So at the time of procuring players, we strongly encourage. We're short of compelling. We strongly encourage guys to study, and we provide educational psychologists for them so that they can manage being student athletes. That's the first thing. So once that's happened, at the end of the day, rugby is still your job. So the main thing must stay the main thing, if that makes sense.
But the boys are benefiting from being in university. They're getting TV time, and that's at Varsity Cup and Varsity Shield levels. So,
look, I think that the Varsity Cup is right now, as we stand, outside of the Springboks, the most marketable rugby product. I mean,
By far.
Mondays are crazy at Varsity Cup. It's such a vibe.
And not just
The
the 10
product-
Rand double brands.
Yeah, the product is amazing. The product is incredible.
Yes.
So as you say, the ability to get exposure is next level.
Yes, and if you look at the viewership of Varsity Cup rugby, it surpasses
Some
URC.
professionals, yes?
Yeah,
Some professional games.
look, like I said, Varsity Cup is the most marketable thing. There's an identity around it in terms of yes,
And the relatability.
I'm playing for Shimlers. I was in this guy's accounting class. Nice, causing havoc on the field. They've played around with the laws to the extent that it's made it exciting. Point of origin tries. They've got chuckers, straight breaks. So I think they've really done a lot around the product. And for the consumer, it's next level.
I'm a rock star at school. I get contracted to a union. I meet 30 other rock stars there. All of a sudden, I was a captain bashing guys over on a Saturday. Now I'm carrying barge bags. That mental gap, that mental break, is that something that is focused on at the unions, or is it just hey man, it's big boys here, just let's get on with it?
Look, I think a bit of both. The challenge for school leavers is you playing in front of thousands of people, and they adore you. There's adulation. You walk on the corridors, and you're this hero. And then, under 19 and 21s, you're playing in front of the dog and your grandmom.
No, literally.
So one that tests the love of your game.
Yeah.
Do you love rugby, or do you like the sideshows that come with rugby?
And the longevity.
And that's a big challenge for youngsters coming out of school. Sing, get up in front of the stand, sing the war cry. And once that's disappeared, now it's a real job. I always liken it to, like practicing law is not like what suits look like. So like Harvey Specter, walk out there's tons of work.
No.
It's not glamorous. No one wants to get through case law for the whole evening. So that number one is an incredible thing. 2, rugby is also a process and it's a pathway. Just like when you're in school under 14, you weren't the rock star. So you've got to work your way up to become that rock star. And that's where I guess the men from the boys are separated, right? For lack of a better expression. That's where your development, your professionalism, because now you've got money, you've probably got more money than what your contemporaries have in terms of people you're studying with. You've got access to a whole variety of things that you otherwise wouldn't have as a 19, 20-year-old. So how level-headed are you? How professional are you? And professional meaning dedication to your game. Your guys are going to Varsity Cup student nights. The brand new special is amazing. But you got to work tomorrow. They can sleep in and miss class and get the notes later. So that's the challenge.
So as a junior, I would say it's very crucial to diversify your portfolio, because you can be a rock star at school, but when you leave school and you have to play different styles of rugby, can you fit into this place's style of rugby? And then that brings me to something else. If you look at the Lions Craven Week side, it's diverse. We've got players from a whole bunch of different schools, and that then also diversifies the portfolio because a lot of guys are playing different styles of rugby. And that betters the future of rugby. But then we look at what's going on in the Free State. Lucky, you tell us what's going on in the Free State.
The coach went the easy way out. He just said, let me choose guys that I know that I'm used to, put them in. And then he sprinkled a couple of guys from the other schools.
So now, what is the benefit of having a one-school Craven Week side?
Look, I think, one, Dino, we've got to give credit to Grey College. They're an amazing school that have produced incredible amount of rugby players. They probably, all things equal, the number one first team in if ratings were to be believed in. I mean, I think we could make a really good guesstimate.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. I think that there's a challenge in terms of other schools in Bloemfontein
Competing at that.
the disparity between what Grey College are and what the other schools are. That's a challenge, and that's why you find that the Craven Week side is made up of just Grey College jokes with a sprinkle or two of others, as opposed to, you think, Western Province, it's selected with schools from Stellenbosch, Paul Rose, Paul Job, whatever, and there are a whole variety of schools there. And if you think in Joburg as an example, Hapakar, King Edward, JP Boys, Noordjevel, Monument. So even then, that's because it's number one, it's such a competitive region. Two, the players who there's wisdom, as Dino spoken about, in not choosing just from one school, but from everyone, because it makes everyone better. And they're different styles, and you can adapt to different styles. So, yeah, I think it's a whole lot more complex than what people make it out to be.
Dino spoke about the diversity of roles, and I want to ask you, I want to pick on one player in particular. You look at Kutazo Rashivaga, for example, at fullback for his school team last year, at under 18 Craven Week at wing, then centre now this year at his school. And I think he's back at fullback, if I'm not mistaken, for the Craven Week side. You're a backline a coach, amongst other things. What conversations are happening with that player to make sure that he understands his role? Where does his role fit in, and who's helping him adapt in situations like that?
Look, I think firstly, he's still in the formative years of his career. So if you think Malcolm Marx was a loose forward in grade 10, then he was a lock in grade 11, then he was a hooker in matric, meaning, and he represented the province at all three positions. So players such as those are in their formative years. So it's not a bad thing that he plays wing, plays outside center, plays fullback. At some point in time, he'll work out what's his favorite position and which one he's good at, actually. But I don't think it's a train smashing. A player in his formative years, let him find what his best position is. As opposed to pigeonholing a player and saying, listen, you're really a wing, but he possesses the skills of a center. Or you're really a center, but his kicking game and counter-attack game, as we saw last as an example, with the player that you used, is incredible. So he's in his formative years. They didn't build upon that foundation. I don't think it's the end of the world to have players play different positions.
So not be restrictive.
Like I said, let's use Karan Tumen as an example. The guy went from 8th man to hooker following year. So, I think players in their formative years, it's important that we let them experiment. And the word experiment is probably the wrong word, but let them
express themselves
100% and find the position at which that they're the best at. And that'll give them a better chance, as opposed to saying, okay, you're really a fluff, even though he doesn't enjoy it or he's not really that good at it.
I really like the way you put that, because I agree with it totally. It's almost like you want that guy to know what a wing's job is as well, even if he's the center, so that he knows what plays to make for that guy, to put that guy into space. It's diversifying.
Rugby evolves. We look at the Springboks. Grant Williams played scrum half for the Sharks, and he scored 4 tries at the World Cup at wing for the Springboks. The advent of 6-2 benches in terms of how the Springboks have gone. Colby being a reserve scrum half. I'm sure that's well a known fact. So there's nothing wrong with players having the ability to play different positions. Dion Free, at the ripe old age at 38, played 6 for the Stormers.
At the biggest stage, and leave Stormers.
Plays 78 minutes at hooker in a World Cup final. Because he was a hooker before and became a 6. So I think we've got to open up our minds and not really be stuck in archaic thinking.
Which is something that I want to talk about. And it's a big one, boys. Get ready.
Okay.
Manie Libbok. What a player. What a lovely player. How can you not pick the man? But we are putting him under unnecessary pressure to kick at 10.
Yeah, I think, that's his job, If your job, that's like saying I'm going to pick a hooker who doesn't come through. He's going to scram a hooker, but he's not going to throw the line out. And I think Manie Libbok's, everyone's got a bad day. And I think, I'm reminded of a young Francois Steyn, 2007 Super Rugby final, and he takes the kick instead of Percy, misses it, Bulls. If he scores that kick, they win the Super Rugby.
Yeah.
And he learned from it, didn't he? And I've got no doubt Manie Libbok will learn from his struggles, and you actually shaped by your struggles and your trials.
True character comes from that, doesn't it?
Precisely. So, having said that, I'm not going to pick. It's like picking all rounder, only bowls, but never bats. Like, part of your job is your job. You've got to do what you're there for. And flyers, their job is to kick.
Primarily, yes.
And here's the thing, right? Just the other week, it kicked 7 out of 7.
But people don't remember that.
Yeah, no, because
Short-term memory.
unfortunately, that's the game we're involved in. You know, if you get 10 things right and get the one wrong, we remember.
So
the
do
one
you
wrong.
move Mani deeper into the back line and get a specialist fly half? Or do you persist with the man knowing that one day he's gonna have balls of steel?
Look, I think, guys, the challenge is twofold. One, he's got to bring it. Two, it's at national level, so we're not really going to develop people at national level. I imagine that he'll have to bring it for the Springboks, and if he doesn't, there's a plethora of other flowers. There's Andre Pollard, the Sia Masuku, who's been a revelation. To a lesser extent,
Our Nohamba are not too far behind either.
Precisely. So, at that level, no one's really going to develop you. At that level, people need you to.
You got to keep up with the pace.
100%.
I like that.
And that's the ball's in his court. If he gets selected,
And what
again,
better situation?
Precisely. If he gets an opportunity, he's going to use it. If he doesn't, he'll incur the consequences of not having used that opportunity.
The new Springbok squad, we touched on a little bit earlier. Opportunity presents itself. Got Wales that's coming up. We've got Portugal that's coming up. Overseas players aren't available. And again, speaks to your point of, hey, the opportunity is here. Now you got to grab it with the number of new players being invited.
Yeah, really cool. Obviously, start of a new cycle. So we've got 4 years until the 2027 World Cup. Our SA Rugby have been really clear, and the coaching staff's been really clear in terms of that the World Cup is the next thing for us, and which means there'll be a whole variety of opportunities given
in between
to players who freshen up the squad. The average age of the squad is closer to 35 than it is to 30. The coaching staff have made it quite clear that they want to make the squad younger. So Portugal, Wales, Irish Tests, the Rugby Championship, end of year tour, those are all opportunities for guys to get opportunities.
Put their hands up.
Yeah, to put their hands up. And I think there's an incredible amount of trust in the coaching group, the Springbok coaching group, so they know when and how they'll blood certain players in terms of the new Springbok squad. I think the overseas players not being available, at least the UK players, provides again another opportunity. Perhaps forces the hands of the management to really give opportunities.
I hope we don't make the same mistake that we made in 2015 at the Rugby World Cup in the UK, where we picked the old boys because we love them and we've watched them and we think they're the best. I like the fact that we can find youngsters, and if you're on form, you go into the team. It doesn't matter who you are or who you've been. I want to see the hottest players on the field.
Look, I think that's it's a challenge, and like I say, I think that the coaching and the management group have been really upfront to say they'll have to freshen up the squad. I can't see, there's probably quite a large contingent of the guys who are back-to-back winners who probably won't make it.
Won't make the last hurdle.
Into the 2027 World Cup. So the challenge, though, Dino, lies in yet giving opportunities, but still winning. Because South Africans want to win. We love winning. So, they've got their challenge, I think, is to drive both processes, winning and giving opportunities, refreshing the squad, so that by the time they get to the World Cup, they've got guys who are experienced and can deliver the goods.
And also just got a well-oiled machine that's going there. So we look forward to the winter season. I think some really, really exciting rugby on hand, and what we've seen from certainly the URC, certainly from the championship as well. It just breeds so much for the Springboks, and I think to your point earlier, we've just got such a plethora of talent. So you sometimes think to yourself, if you're the head coach, thank goodness some of those players aren't available, because when else am I going to give an opportunity to these youngsters that Dino's talking about, to breed them in, to give them that opportunity there? So blessing in disguise, you call it sometimes. You've got a couple of injuries of some regular Springboks, also a blessing in disguise. Give them some time off to rest and recover, because that's one thing I don't think from where I sit on the couch every Saturday. The recovery of players is just, they're just go, go, go. So, we'll never be found wanting in terms of talent, I think, and in terms of opportunity in this country. What we do with it and where the final product comes from, I think, then remains a challenge for the powers that be and those that are in charge.
100% like that.
Did I get that spot on? I thought I got that.
like it.
I thought I got that
You
pretty
guys want to
spot on.
swap
Huh?
seats there?
You sound like you could take up the vacant Minister of Sports position.
Hey, listen, oof, it's tough there.
So, Mziwakhe, I've done a little bit of spying, and I found out that you are looking forward to running the Pirates 21K this year. How's
This
your
year, it's
training
coming up
been going?
now.
Yeah, Dino, cheers, man. Look, like you said, like he's part of a running club. I'm part of a running club. At this moment in time, I haven't left the group chat to actually start running, but I'll get there eventually.
You've also been seen on a few social hockey fields.
Yeah, I think it's important. You spoke about diversification. You know, I'd like to think I'm a man of many talents. As you would know, yeah, our hockey team's really good. We won. We made the top 4 in the
Don't be scared to give your lads a shout out there and the ladies. We're the mixed team.
Guys, blood, sweat, and beers. It's a great flipping club that. You know, giving all our people a shout out.
Vital.
We even have a Protea playing for us. So you know, we're not half
A little
bad.
cheat code.
No, we just
You know who's you passing the ball to?
Yeah, you do it.
I think it's just the caliber of the club and the caliber of the
Oh,
type
yeah.
of players that we
Lovely.
have in the team.
Lovely.
You know, so it's good to diversify. You know, learn from other sporting codes.
No,
Tour de France is
absolutely
coming
fantastic.
up. We know that you've done the 94.7 before. How are the legs?
I'm not sure if I've done the 94.7. I think the 94.7 has done me. I've got a vivid memory cycling up Jan Smuts, and it was really, really a dark time in my life there.
And then last one from me. Rugby is not a thing. What is the sport that you would love to play and coach?
Cricket. I'd love to coach and play cricket. I'm incredibly in love with cricket. I could watch a test match the whole day. I think there's such a test match or chess match in a test match. Just willow onto or leather onto willow. I love cricket, man.
Lovely.
I just wasn't blessed with the talent. I would hate for my son to play cricket though.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm either going to be an alcoholic dad or an absent dad.
Yeah, one of the two. No, there are 2 sports that your child mustn't do. It's rowing and it's cricket, because you're going to be an alcoholic. You're going to have gout because all you do is sit and eat there. Or like you said, you're going to just, be an absent father. So we hopefully he chooses correctly. Maybe give those guys advice across in the US as well, because, hey, it's tough there. It's tough across there for the Proteas. So first game in, we're trying to encourage the guys. Second game in now, so getting a little bit topsy-turvy. Let's just hope that we pull something off there, because good evening, guys.
No man, guys, I'm like Dino. I'm also African. Come on the Proteas. Come on.
Oh, we don't have a choice. We're back there. We're back there.
Come on the Proteas. Come on Bafana Bafana. In 10 days, we could see the Springboks win. We could see the Proteas win and
Bafana
win.
qualify.
Come on,
Guys, I also
throw
want
in the
to see
hockey
some-
national hockey team.
There you go.
We're alive.
Olympics. We've got
Canada
some
Stain
swimmers.
coming Olympics.
Come on, Tatjana
Stain going
Schoeman,
Olympics.
say something. Gerda Stain,
So it's a great time to invest in one of these, because
yes.
no Ranjan, you're going to be wearing one.
Gerda Stain, she
Yes.
did something yesterday. She's going to the Olympics. Guys, come on, the South Africans.
Jeez. So I guess we've got a job to do next couple of weeks at least. Got stuff to talk about, dogs.
Like,
not gonna
I'm
be-
looking so forward to it.
It's not going to be an empty pool. But as we wrap up MZ, home ground advantage here for the Craven Week at Monument. I think the schoolboy rugby scene, similar to the Varsity Cup, has just exploded this year. The amount of rugby being played, the amount of competitive rugby being played, the close scores that are there, and just the caliber of talent is just unreal. So any interesting matchups that you're looking forward to at Monument in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think firstly, good luck to all teams. The Craven Weeks is the epitome, but it's the highest level for schoolboy rugby in South Africa, and such an incredible showcase of talent of what we have. That's the first thing. The second thing is really excited to see what the Lions can bring. The last Craven Week we hosted, we won. Won't say who the coach was. He's just on the couch at the moment. You don't often get.
It's in Stylians, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't often get a Craven Week at your home province. It's cool that it's up north, so the weather conditions are going to be brilliant, even though it'll be icy on the Ras van Rooyen.
Hey, that Ras van Rooyen's colder.
In Monument. But, there'll be hopefully the conditions for them to play. And yeah, what an incredible showpiece. They've got a sponsor, Stadio, who've come in and
Really come on, eh?
have made a difference to that. So looking forward to it. Hopefully it's also a celebration of incredible schoolboy rugby and not just a cattle farm for players to be recruited at.
So he says with a wry smile on his face. Mziwakhe, where do we follow you online?
Yeah, guys, Twitter, Mziwakhe_great. Not really an Instagram man myself, but I'm pretty sure Mziwakhe Nkosi on Instagram.
I'll catch you there.
So catch me on the Twitter, though. The Twitter streets. Oh, it's not Twitter anymore, right?
Yeah.
X. Catch me on the X streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's have a really cool conversation. But thanks for having me, Luxter. Coach on the couch, I'm really, and just want to say, guys, really proud of you guys. Coach on the couch finally up and running. I know it's been a concept and an idea for a month or two and a year or two, and for me to be here, it's unreal. And loved your show last week, and hopefully this show for the viewers is just as enjoyable.
No, thanks, Mziwakhe. Really, really do appreciate it. We certainly will have you back in future if you gain us 2 more followers at least. Surely we've got to set the benchmark quite high here. I mean, we're on 3 at the moment, so we'll double up the scores there. Dongster, what are we looking forward to this week?
Lucky, this weekend, the most important one for me would be Bafana. We've got the Bulls playing in a semi-final.
Against Leinster, yeah.
That's correct. And then Tiger Woods is making a return to a PGA Championship this weekend. So
For the 15th time.
all the best to him.
Just keeps coming. And then the Cricket World Cup continues.
T20 World
obviously.
Cup.
Yeah.
Got a lot to look forward to.
Lots to look forward to. Well, folks, another week done and dusted. That's all we have here on Coach on the Couch. Do make sure you subscribe to our channel. Like I said, we're 3 at the moment. If you get 3 more, we'll double it up. So do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram as well, Coach on a Couch. And then Dino Biani, he's there as well on the social media streets, myself at Luxter_08. That's all for this week, folks. An impactful show. Hopefully you learned a lot, particularly those players that are looking to get into the professional setup. Some words of wisdom here from Currie Cup head coach as well as head of junior development at the Lions Rugby Company. From Dino Biani and myself, from your couch to yours, we'll see you next week. We got to get that right, Dino.
We got to get it right.
Come on.
I missed that one completely.